Hi guys, I'm Rhonda with the Sawgrass Education team, and welcome to our Learn with Sawgrass Wednesday session. And we do 2 of these per week. We do one at 3 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday afternoons, and then one at 10 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday mornings. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us for both, or if you're unable to make them, make sure and check out the videos after the fact on our YouTube channel. But we go over a lot of things about Sawgrass. We try to cover it all, whether it be the printers and printer maintenance, whether it be some inspirational projects for you, or some tips, whether it be with the software, or yesterday we did our top 10 pressing tips. Today we're going to do our top 10 Sawgrass software tips. Say that 10 times fast. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some things in the software. Some of them are some things that I know from our support team, or some issues that we see. Some of them are some things that I just think will make your life easier, and one of them is just kind of one that I really enjoy. It's one of my favorite features. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So these are my top 10 Sawgrass software tips. And we're going to start with our design tool. So as you may or may not know, when you purchase a Sawgrass printer and you are using genuine Sawgrass ink, you do have our software available to you. There are 2 pieces of software. There is the MySawgrass, and then there is the Sawgrass Print Utility. Now within MySawgrass, there are 2 components. There is the design tool, and then if you're in the U.S., you do get a store. We're not going to talk about the store today. We will talk about the store a little bit later on in the month. But today we're going to focus on that MySawgrass design tool. Now, the Sawgrass Print Utility, every single one of you should be using that piece of software. That is pretty much a necessity to make sure that you're getting the correct output, because it is creating profiles based on your settings, so that it's putting the correct amount of ink, the correct saturation and brightness and all of that for the specific product you're pressing onto with the paper that you're using. The design tool, you don't have to use that. That is just something that we give you. As you should know, all of our software is free to our users, but that design tool is there, I usually say, for 2 reasons, or for 2 purposes. One is if you do not have a design program that you currently use. It's kind of a good one so that you can go in there and add text or do what you need to do. The other kind of case study is because we do have the products loaded into there, you do get the template. So your print is the correct size and the correct shape for the product that you're pressing onto. And so we're going to start with the design tool, and then we're going to move into the print utility. But my first 5 tips are all about the MySawgrass design tool. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the first one, and I did say some of these come from our support team, and this is definitely one of them. If you are ever in the design tool and you're not seeing the print button, or you may be seeing what appears to be other people's artwork or any of those things, that means you're not logged in. So let's show you how to make sure and verify that you are logged into the system. So I've already chosen the sawgrassinc.com webpage. I'm going to click on MySawgrass. Now, as you see, I am logged in. My name is in the top right-hand corner. If I were to click on my name and go to Profile, it's going to show me my studio and my store. My studio is anything that I've designed for me, that I'm using to print, that I'm not putting in my store for other people to see. As you can see, I have recently done all of our service awards for the year. That's not anything I'm selling, that's just something that we're doing in-house. So that's there, some test images that I've done too. If I go to my store, now this is where I'm going to see those products that if I gave out the link to my store, people could go in and they could shop. it's all my stuff, so I won't. Mostly it's for demo purposes, but I could do that if I wanted to. But if you are seeing your name in the top right hand corner, you are definitely logged in. Now I'm going to try to log out or sign out. And you will notice that it says up here, log in. I could go into my Sawgrass, and there are ways that you could get in there even if you're not logged in. So always make sure that you're logged in. Now, I just want to be clear. You may go, Rhonda, why could you access the design tool if you're not logged in to begin with? That doesn't make a lot of sense. What actually does, hold on for me. And the reason that makes sense is because if you have a store and you give someone a link to the product, they're able to customize it. So they may be able to change a name, they may be able to change a font or a color. So we need people who aren't logged in to be able to access the design tool as well. And so that's why you, as a user, need to make sure that your name is displayed and that you're seeing that name, because that's how you know that you're logged in. Now, the other thing that's very important is you need to be logged in to both pieces of software with the same login. Now, this is one of probably the biggest misconceptions out there, is I hear people talk about things in the print utility that are actually in the design tool, or talk about things in the design tool that are actually in the print utility. They're two pieces of software. They're not connected. For instance, last week we had an overnight service on MySawgrass. That means nothing changed in the print utility. It's two completely different pieces of software, down to the fact that the people who work on one are not the people who work on the other. And so they are separate, but they do need to communicate. And because of that, if you go into your settings, the account, that should be the same email that's logged into the other. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to print. All right, let's check out my tip number 2. Find things faster with filters. Now, to me, this is one of my favorite things about the new software, is it does speed things up. I'm going to go ahead and click design for the purposes of this, just so I have something that you can see well. I'm going to pick a shirt. All right. So within all of the areas where you can build your design, you're going to see that there is a filter feature. So if I go to Elements and I go to my graphic library, you're going to see a funnel. Now, when I click on this funnel, I'm going to wait till my artwork appears, and then we'll go ahead and do it. Now, I am relying on Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi is not the strongest. I don't have a network cable connected. So I'm a little slower than I normally would be. But I'm going to click on this filter, and I can go in and look at specific categories. So instead of having all of my artwork in whatever order we've kind of put it in, I could go in and I could say that I wanted to look specifically at holidays. I can even go in further and filter to what holiday I want to look at. Let's look at some St. Patrick's Day. Actually, let's do Independence Day since that's coming up. And let's unclick these others. All right. And then I can see all of those elements that we've added in. Now, you also, one of the things that you can do with filter, I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this for now. Uncheck it. Uncheck it. I'm actually going to go up to animals. Now, one of the things that I learned last week is that if I am in animals and I wanted to see a specific animal like a cat, I can search within the category and it's only showing me what's in the category, and so it kind of gets me there a little bit faster. But it's searching within the category itself, which kind of helps you narrow it down even further. No matter what you're in, whether you're in backgrounds, whether you're in designs, you can use this filter to help you. And then my favorite place to use it is our fonts, because that helps you narrow it down really fast. So let's put a line here. And I'm going to spell it correctly. For real, for real. Okay. And then if I go into font style, I can use this filter and narrow it down. If I want something that's handwritten, if I want something big and blocky, whether I want a script, I can actually narrow this down further, which is very, very handy, just to kind of get you to the types of fonts that you want. I have done font workshops in the past, or typing workshops in the past. We'll probably do another one in the future. Things like balancing. So if I have a big block font that is a serif, then I probably want a sans serif, which does not have the feet to go with it. So this kind of helps you narrow that down a lot faster, which is really cool. I'm actually going to go with this for this. And I'm going to hit save. All right, so that's the filters. They're all throughout. They're really helpful to help you get to where you need to be a little bit faster. Now, our third tip for the Sawgrass, or the MySawgrass design tool, is take advantage of shape mask. Now, is this something that is a tip to help eliminate an issue? No, but it's my favorite feature, so we're going to use it today. I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit to help us here. Okay. And I really don't like that font anymore. I apologize. All right. Once I got in close, it had some things on it that I did not like. All right. There's my font. I'm going to go out, and I am going to go back to elements, and this time we're going to look at shapes. Now, on their own, shapes are great. You know, it is an easy way if I needed that shamrock. I'm really into St. Patrick's Day today. I may need some good luck. So you can do shapes like and make just a shamrock, make it green, put an outline on it, whatever you want to do. But you can also use these in a different way. So I'm going to pull a couple of letters here. Now, one of the things I realized this morning, because these do get kind of small, these shapes automatically have a stroke on them. So I'm going to go ahead and eliminate that. I could just hit remove. I can take it down to 0 to do that. So I've got my D. I'm going to get an A. And I'm using kind of a blocky style. I think it works really well for what I'm doing. Same thing, I'm going to take that stroke off. I'll do it the other way. I'll hit remove so you can see that. Put that next to it. I can line these up. You do see the lines are kind of appearing. I could add also a little rectangle underneath to sit them on to make sure they're perfectly lined up. And I'm going to add another. Actually, I'll just copy my D. I'm going to grab them all. Make them a little, well, I need to move this one over here. Here. All right, maybe a little bigger. And I'm kind of fine if the A is a little bit bigger than the D. I think that's kind of a nice effect. So I'm going to go into this first letter, and I'm going to use this as a shape mask. So I'm going to take a picture and put it inside of there. And then I'm going to click back on that letter and I'm going to compress this, make this smaller. And then I'm actually going to shift him over here so he's not getting cut off. So I will go ahead and make him a little bit bigger. I do want him to kind of fit on that side of the D. There we go. Let's go. Expand that one more time. There we are. And that's where I would want him to be. I'm going to take my A and I'm going to do the same thing. Pull that down and over, and I did forget, as I tend to do, to remind you, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Rhodes is here with me today, and he'll be glad to answer those. Or if you just want to make a comment, those are appreciated as well. All right, and then finally, I'm going to do one more. All right, and now you can have a great shirt, a great mug, any of those things for Father's Day. This is why the shapes are one of my favorite features. Another thing you could always do with any of these shapes is fill them with a background pattern, or fill them, let me show you, or fill them with collage paper. Works really well for this too. I'm just going to put this nice little shape here. Make it a little bigger so you can see it better. And then use that as a mask. Alrighty. And that would be great if you were doing something for a music lover. And so kind of a great little way, I would take this off because we don't need it with our dad shirt, but I hope that kind of inspired you with that dad artwork. All right, so number 4. Find your images and designs in your gallery. So I'm going to kind of lump 2 things into this one. So if I were to hit save and print, I'm going to go ahead and put this in my category. And I'm going to hit continue. This is going to take it to the details page. I can do several. I could, of course, just print this from here. You're going to see me do that in just a minute. But this is actually going to take it to my details page. From the details page, I can print it, I can save it, or I could add it to my store. Now, we're not going to add it to the store today. We're just going to save it. But I'm going to just make this. And I'm going to hit save. Now that's going to save it to my studio. I showed you how to get there a little bit ago. If I were to open this up from my studio, it is going to save over it. So let's say I made this one for my brother. I was going to make one for my friend Tim for his kids. It would save Tim's over my brother's. So there's a way around that, and that's part of the beauty of gallery. So we're going to let this save. It is, like I said, I am on Wi-Fi. It's moving a little slow for me. But my bar is moving across the top, so I do know it's doing what it's supposed to. So we're going to patiently wait it out. But if I were to open this from my studio, I can make changes to it, but again, it's going to save it over it. So I kind of think of that as file save is the way I did that. But what I could do is I'm in my studio, I go down, I hit my 3 buttons, and I'm going to open that in the designer, and I can go in and make changes. If I were to hit manage post details, well, that is going to take it to that screen we were just in. So this is an easy way. Let's say that I had made a mistake on Julian's award. When I pressed it, if I needed to reopen it, I could just use that and go right in and be able to do it. All right, the other thing you can do is access things from your gallery. If you've been with us for a while, that gallery is something that you're very familiar with. But let's say I am doing a mug. I just went into design, I hit mug. And here is my gallery. So every font that I've uploaded, every image that I've uploaded, they are all here. This is where we know speed still needs to improve. We are working on that, I promise. It's a daily conversation, but that is popping up so that you can see it. And I'm going to be patient and let it. So there's all the artwork that I've uploaded. You notice that moose is very popular with me. And then also in my gallery is going to be your finished designs, the things that you've created. Now, if I were to open up that dad shirt from here and put it on something and hit save, it's going to save it as a separate piece of art. It's not going to save it over. So I could have my brother's shirt and Tim's shirt both saved with no problem if I accessed it from the gallery. Now I am actually going to access a different piece of artwork today. That one's a little silly to put on a mug, but we will. Really good if you were making a mug for a makeup artist. All right. So that's how you access it from your gallery. Now, just to make sure you understand, any custom canvases you create and anything you create on a template are separate. So if I have a product open and I go into my gallery's designs, I'm only seeing things that I created for a product. If I go into custom canvas, in my gallery, I'm only seeing designs that I created on a custom canvas. So you do have to click, that is where it matters. You're going to choose the product you want or the custom canvas, and then you're going to see the things that you created on any product. Or if you're in custom canvas, anything you created on any custom canvas. But those two databases are separate. So that is the one thing I want to point out. All right. Our final design tool, one, again, this comes from our tech support team, and that's enabling pop-ups. So I'm ready to print this. This would be the same whether, I looked at a preview, whether I hit print here or whether I were to hit print from that save screen. Same thing is going to happen. I will show you the button when we get there. I'm going to hit print. And it is going to prepare that. Now, if you've ever been in Zoom, you do know that when you go to open a Zoom session, it takes you to the web. You do have to give it permission to open the application. Well, same thing here. For the design tool to open the print utility, you do have to get this pop-up. So if you have pop-up blockers on, you will not see this. You will have to go in and change that. It's a little weird in Safari. If you're on Mac, you will see it basically as another tab that you have to accept. It looks like a little folder. You have to click on that little folder to be able to do it. But if you are not getting this message and print utility is not opening, you most likely have a pop-up blocker on. Reach out to our care team at care.sawgrassinc.com and they'll be glad to assist you with that. It's also something you can probably research to see how to change that on your specific system. But that pop-up blocker, if the program is not opening, most likely you have a pop-up blocker in the way. All right, so that is my design tool questions. Or my design tool tips. Rhodes, have we gotten any questions about any of those?
We are caught up on questions right now.
Awesome. Okay, so if you've ever watched me, I have a very specific workflow that I follow in the print utility. And the very first thing I do is use crop to image area. Now, what this does is comes in is going to come in the size of the canvas. So I actually just did this in Illustrator. I use the artboard for something. So if my artboard is 5 by 8, my image is going to come in as 5 by 8, even though my image may be smaller than that and not take up that whole area. Why is this important? Well, it helps you with things like centering. It also helps you with dimensions. A lot of times when people are like, hey, my image isn't coming out the right size. Well, it's showing as 8 by 5, and if you're trying to print it 8 by 5, I can understand the confusion there. You need the actual design to be the 8 by 5, not the area. The one that's probably the biggest is an 8.5 by 11 or a 4 for my European friends. You have it set with margins, so it's probably a few millimeters in. It's probably a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch in here in the US. And so when it comes in, it's saying it's 8.5 by 11 when it's actually smaller. So it's saying an 8.5 by 11 won't fit on an 8.5 by 11. There's no area around the edge. So that crop to image area button is a very important one. And that's why I always start with that. It is going to take off any extra and make it the exact size of the image instead of, and you see it moving over because it's reducing that or eliminating that white around the edge and taking it down to the actual design. Okay, number 7 or number 2, if we talk about switching to the new program, is the light color button. Now this is for my friends who have a VersaFlex system. I do have one that is up right now, so we can see that here. If I have anything chosen that is going to use VersaFlex light paper, so if I'm choosing cotton, if I'm choosing felt, if I'm choosing uncoated wood, what you're going to see is that you have that adjust for light colors button of all the things to get my tongue twisted on today. If I were to choose acrylic, which is traditional sublimation, you see that goes away. So it's only for things that are using that VersaFlex light paper. You will see this adjust for light colors button. And the thing is we want to make sure that expander is getting laid down. Remember, my VersaFlex ink is a CMYE, not a CMYK. That expander is getting laid down anywhere there's ink. But if the color is too close to white, the system may not recognize it and may not lay down enough expander. And so we want to make sure that we are checking that anytime we have, I generally say shades of pink, shades of yellow, lighter shades of blue as well. If I'm doing something that's just black or just navy, even just burgundy, you don't need the button check. Now, why would you uncheck it? So you don't lay down more expander than you need to lay down. So you're not using that in a spot where you may not need as much of it. So you can turn that button off. You'll see I always kind of go step by step down my tool. That's one of the things I always check if I know I'm using that VersaFlex light paper. All right. Number 8, take advantages of presets. So I'm going to flip really quick to one of my Sublimation printers. I'm going to ignore that firmware for the moment. And so when I am here, you will see there are presets. This is really, really helpful because presets are going to change all the settings for you. So instead of me having to know, oh, I'm going on to acrylic, I don't need to mirror, or me knowing I'm using frosted glass, metal gives me, as the product gives me a better result than choosing glass. I don't have to know that. We've already taken care of it for you. So if I were to choose a can hugger, it already knows that needs to be mirrored. It already knows that the product needs to be neoprene. It already knows it needs to be high quality. And it knows that I'm probably going to use Vivid because this is probably not something I'm putting a photo on. So it does Vivid over photographic. So all of these things are calculated for you with presets. Now, I know your next question. You're like, Rhonda, I have a VersaFlex printer and I'm not seeing presets. We know it's coming, not the next update, but the one after it. If there's any errors, it's on me, I did it. So it is coming though, I promise. We do have that in the pipeline. It is already ready, it's already in testing, so not the next update to the software, but the one after that, you'll see presets for the VersaFlex 2. Because we know, presets are very handy. Just kind of a reminder though, you're choosing the preset. You don't have to do anything from product down other than the size of your paper. And then if you're using Sublimation and you're using one of those other papers, that would be the only thing you would change there is the paper type. So paper type and paper size are the only things you have to look at if you're using the preset. Yes, if you use the preset, it will change the information. So use one or the other. You don't have to use both. All right, next up. Customize with settings. This was, again, this one actually is helpful. But it is something that's near and dear to my heart, kind of like shapes in the design tool, because it's something that I insisted on. With the settings, you're able to go in and set up the system to make it work the way you want it to, instead of the way someone else does. Because we know there are a wide variety of users of our software. There are people who print daily. There are people who print monthly. So we want to make sure that everyone is kind of included here. So whether it's as simple as choosing millimeters over inches, you do all of this here. Now, spot colors, you probably aren't going to need. That is one of those advanced color management tools. You probably won't need that, or most people won't need that. There is some content, both from myself in the Learn with Sawgrass workshops and from Rhodes and the quick tip videos to help you with that. But spot colors is there if you need it. But for most people, it's an extra tab that you don't need to see, so you can leave that unchecked. Now this one is kind of funny. Automatically close tabs after printing. Nope, not on there. It's down here now. Close tabs after printing. That is kind of the workflow most of you are used to. The print manager only opened if you had a print job. You hit the print button and it closed. In the print utility, those tabs stay open until you close them. For me, that's beneficial. I make a lot of errors when I press, so having the job there so I can easily just open the tab and hit print, I love that. So I don't use that button, but there are some of you that really want it, and actually we were thinking that most people were not using it. We took it away and then put it right back because we realized that a lot of you do love being able to close those. So that is there for you. There are other things you can do, like in devices. You can actually set your default printer. So for me, very helpful. Often when I travel, the printer that I install is near the bottom of my list. I want that to be the default while I'm there, and then I'm going to change it back to my in-studio unit once I'm here. So having that default is really great. With your paper sizes, again, same thing. You get to choose the default. You can add paper sizes. You can rename them. All things that make your particular workflow easier, even if no one else is going to use it exactly the way you do. With both our Send to Sawgrass Print Utility and our Quick Print folders, you set all of the defaults. So I was asked on a call yesterday if you could change your default material. If you're using one of those two options to get files into the program, yes, you can. And so if you mostly do acrylic and do letter size, or do, I always say envelope instead of mug size, then you can choose your mug size paper on your papers. And then over here in the Send to Sawgrass Print Utility, you can choose it as the acrylic, and that's what's going to pop up every time you open the program by sending a file that way. So very, very helpful to have. And of course, your account settings as well are great to be able to manage if you need to log in, log out, do any changes there. All right. One more, and that is classic mode. Now, if you have not seen this yet, we have added a classic mode that does get you closer to the colors that you were used to seeing in the print manager. If you do enable that classic mode, you can use that and get kind of that color that you may be used to. If you've had any complaints about the colors not being what you were expecting in the print utility, this is a good button to check out. Try that classic mode and see if it helps. Now, I do have a bonus tip because I realized I really should have included this because this is my personal baby and this is recent. So anything that you have already printed is going to be here in the list, and you can click on it, and when it opens, it's not only opening the file, it is opening all of your settings. So if I had put multiples on a page, I had ganged or nested, I had changed the size from the original file, I had chosen a specific anything, that stays with that file. So recents are really kind of great bonus tip to know about. If you're reprinting something that you've done previously, you don't have to reopen it in the design tool or wherever. You can come right here and open it, and you see you choose how many are saved. It is saved to the local system. So if you were to change computers for whatever reason, today I'm using Rhodes' system instead of mine, my files aren't going to be in there. And how it gets into recents is in the print utility, you hit the print button. So anything you've printed is going to go into recents, and then it'll delete from the older files if you no longer need them. All right, that's it. That's my top 10 tips for the Sawgrass software. Rhodes, have we gotten any questions?
We have no questions.
All right, well, we are set. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week, On Tuesday, I'm gonna do another session, just kind of start to finish on VersaFlex, deep dive into some of those tips, go into some of the things I'm learning every day with the new system. So we're gonna feature VersaFlex on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I'm going to talk a little bit about selling. So for those of you who have a store, who sell either online or at markets in person, I'm going to talk about what I think or what I see as the top sublimation products. And then I'm going to talk about what I think are the top VersaFlex Lite products. So we're going to look at both, kind of go through some high level on both, and probably pick 3 to 5 or so at least to show you, even if I don't press them for you. But we'll be looking at that on Wednesday. So, we have a question?
So somebody did ask when VersaFlex will be available on Amazon.
On Amazon. I do not know the answer to that. Many of our dealers are now carrying it, so you can go to our go onto our website and look at our dealers. I do believe it is now listed if they do carry VersaFlex, so you can go there to get to those dealers that do have the VersaFlex system. So that's kind of the best place for now. I don't have the answer on the Amazon. All right. Well, if that is it, we will say goodbye. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And it was great working with you today. Bye-bye.